Whether you know what you're doing or not, you just need to sign more clients. End of 2023, I hit 100K 1 month. Everything came crashing and burning down. Clients are bawling their eyes out on the phones, screaming at me, lawsuit letters. These things happen. Don't get tied up in this ego play, because this is what a lot of people do, and I fell for it as well. Like, you get in these coaching programs and you see all these people posting about 100K. I can tell you 99% of the time it's all BS. It's all BS. Scaled from 0 to 100K in 30 days. And this post like blew up. Everyone's like, wow, this is amazing. And I'm thinking it too. I'm like, how did these guys do that? And everybody's comparing it to them. It's on the back end. Nobody knows what happened. They had 50K in chargebacks. They spent 30K on ads. They had a sales team that got 20% commission. They had the client success that were like 10K a month. Like, they literally made nothing from that 100K. If your goal is time and financial freedom, you're going to have to go through the pain now, because I'm telling you, you in 3 months' time is going to thank you now.
Most of you guys, I think you should know Cameron. You're not too big on YouTube, but I do see you posting.
We're getting there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a work in progress, but I can see you blowing up in the future. I know a lot of people are converting more to brands like Matt Shields. He's going hard on content. I think, yeah, I can see you popping off near in the future. But yeah, Cameron, he's pretty young. You're 17, 18, I think.
Yeah, I'm 18 at the minute. I'll give a bit of a background as well. So 18 at the moment, started the agency around one to 2 years ago now. Over the course of the last 6 months, we've been consistently doing around $60,000 a month in revenue. This month, we're on track to do 100K, which is awesome. And then we hit 1 month on the rear end of, in Q4 last year, 100K as well. So I'm in the medical spa niche, stereotypical agency, lead gen, appointment setting, the whole shebang, done for you. So anybody that has any questions about that, in terms of getting to 6 figures a month or even to 5 figures a month, ask away, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
I think initially most of the people here are just trying to get to 10K per month probably. And what you do to get from 10K to 50K and then 50K to 100K is very different compared to your first 10K. And I'm big on like maybe not having as much leverage when you're starting out and just maximizing inputs, basically just going absolute hard. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on how you got to the first 10K. And yeah, I'm just interested on that. I think people will help it.
Yeah. So I think the thing about getting to your first 10K is it's the most difficult, but at the same time, it's actually the easiest. And what I mean by that, because there's a few caveats. When you go from 0 to 10, a lot of the time you're stuck in this like transition in life where you're around people that you want to be better than, and you want to be around people that are making more money, but you don't feel you're yet qualified enough to be in those rooms, right? That's why I think it's the hardest, because you're like so tied into this pre-existing belief system where it's like you're around people that don't make much money. You don't necessarily have like a team yet. It's a bit of a confusing place to be in. But all it is, and you've probably heard it so many times over, but it's this simple. It's just setting and closing appointments. I say the biggest thing, because I have a couple of people that come and pay me one-to-one for consulting and things like that. Every single time they're like, oh, how do I make my service delivery incredible? I don't want to get my clients poor results. I don't want to get my clients poor results as well. But I think it's that belief system that actually stops them from getting to 10K. Because the way I see it, and the way that you have to see it, is selfishly, whether you know what you're doing or not, you just need to sign more clients. And the best way to look at it is you're actually doing your clients a disservice if you don't sign more clients. And what I mean by that is, let's say you have 2 clients right now, maybe they're spending around $1,500 a month on ads each. You're spending around $3,000 on ads. You're doing them a disservice because you don't have, like other agencies do, like 50 clients under the roster spending 100, 150K a month. Their ability to test, to innovate, to adapt. Because again, marketing isn't like a cut and dry thing where you run one ad and it's the same across the board for years. So you just need to sign more clients. And as a byproduct of that, you're going to be able to dial in your service delivery way quicker. You're going to mess up, and that's a part of it, but you're going to mess up quicker. Therefore, your service delivery is going to improve much quicker than if you only stayed with those 2 clients and tried to improve service delivery. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, I tell them a lot, like, all you need to do if you don't have clients is just get clients. It's like right now, when I wake up in the morning, like I've got 20 people asking me for different things. So yeah, I think it's very simple. It's just more of a mental battle, probably getting to 10K per
It
month. It's
is.
doing things you haven't done before. It's like picking up the phone. I think the hardest part is just doing it, and then anything, yeah, past that is easy. But was it calling that you got your first few clients?
Yeah. So I got my first few clients because I think this is another thing that people get tied up into because they see all the YouTube videos and it comes across as like you can just come into the market knowing nothing and right away you can start signing clients on like 3K a month, right? I fell into that trap too, and I'm grateful for it because I think if I realized how hard it actually was, I probably wouldn't have started. And I think everybody needs a little bit of delusion to actually get the ball rolling because once the ball's rolling, it's much harder to stop than it is to start, right? But the thing is, in regards to how I signed clients, I just offered free trials to like my first 10, 15 clients. And I still wanted to get paid, of course, much like I'm sure everybody here does, right? So all I did is I just worked on like a commission basis. So it's like, look, I'm going to come in, I'm going to run your ads, I'm going to do all your marketing, I'm going to call all your leads. The only thing you do is you cover ad spend, right? All I want is the deposit for the people that I book for you. And if you're in a different niche, maybe you say, look, whenever somebody shows up to your office, whenever somebody comes and gets an installation, I want X amount each time they come and do that. So incentives are aligned. It's a no-brainer for them. And then there's no pressure on you where it's like, oh shit, like nobody's going to want to pay me 2 to 3K a month because I'm not qualified. And rightly so. You're not going to have enough conviction to take that amount of money a lot of the time. I'm a big believer in like getting putting yourself in the trenches first and playing the long-term game, which maybe now it doesn't mean you can charge those 2 to 3K a month retainers, but later down the line, once you've got 10 clients, once you've been in the trenches, you're calling all the leads or whatever you do in your niche, you're going to have the industry acumen and the conviction to be able to charge those retainers. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I
That's
think
what I did.
a lot of people just try and go for the big retainers straight off the bat. Yeah, let me see. Lucas said, I am targeting fitness coaches. What daily tasks would you recommend to me? I love your content. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, he's just asking, I think,
Thank you.
what would you recommend for someone maybe who can't cold call? Maybe that's a bit of a difficult question because you haven't had it before, but yeah, what would you recommend for like,
Yeah. So starting out, like, you got to pick 2 to 3 acquisition channels. Cold calling is always a good one, of course. But the ones that are going to give you the most leverage are going to be the best. And what I mean by that is, while cold calling is good, your schedule rate is going to be much higher than something like a DM, right? Because not as many people are going to be doing cold calling as they are going to be doing DMs. But the caveat is, like, say, for example, cold email is a higher leverage outreach activity than cold call. One cold call could take you 10 minutes. You get through one prospect, right? You can email 100 people in 1 minute with the right tools. You've probably heard of Instantly and things like that. So if you're targeting, say, fitness coaches, email, cold email, you can use a tool called Instantly. You can wall up a number of domains and you can send out like 1,000 emails a day. That's high leverage, right? That means you don't have to sit there in the trenches for 12 hours a day. You just send the emails and you build out a system. Cold DMs is great. And then at scale, of course, you can, if you're seeing the return, you just scale it up. You hire a team of setters, commission only. You get them going in and, of course, DMing people on a commission for every appointment they book you. All of the cold outbound. And then once you've got enough clients or you've got money saved up, and by the way, for anybody here that's got like a war chest already, saved up 5, 10, 15K, you can just shortcut that whole process and go straight into paid ads because paid ads is going to explode you.
100%. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's very interesting hearing other people's opinions on different things because like I wouldn't recommend beginners to like run paid ads even if they had it because I think you have to lose a few thousand to obviously find like a winning ad creative. If you're a beginner and you don't know anything like about your niche yet, it's quite interesting because yeah, I'm a big believer on like maybe doing unscalable to get to a point where you can then do scalable activities, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm sure some people have questions in here. Guys, just put it into the chat if you don't want to unmute essentially. I think Lucas said, what type of person must one become in order to be deserving of earning 100K per month? That's a good question. Yeah. Maybe go into the how much stress it takes because yeah, I mean I've hit like 50K a month pretty consistently. But yeah, 100K per month. I don't know if you want to just be brutal honest with what it takes.
Takes a lot. I don't know how I don't know if I can explain it where it's like, oh, you need to do this and that and this. It's just you've got to be more obsessed than everybody else, bottom line, right? And there's never going to be a point where you're like, I never thought like you've got to have that sense of delusion. Like even 6, 12, like 1, 2 years ago, I knew I would get to that point where I was consistently making like 100. I know there's going to be a point where I get to 1 million. It's just not there yet. I think they call it like future beliefs, but it's still in that now. And in terms of like who you've got to become, I'd say the biggest thing for me was because I've hit 100K in the past. End of 2023, I hit 100K 1 month. Everything came crashing and burning down. So don't get tied up in this ego play, because this is what a lot of people do, and I fell for it as well. Like you get in these coaching programs and you see all these people posting about 100K. I can tell you 99% of the time it's all BS. It's all BS. Have you ever heard of Agency Lab? I'm sure people have, right?
Yeah,
Popular agency. Yeah. So there was some people in there that scaled from 0 to 100K in 30 days. And this post like blew up. Everyone's like, wow, this is amazing. And I'm thinking it too. I'm like, how did these guys do that? And everybody's comparing it to them. And it's like, you give yourself a false measuring stick. You think you need to get to 100K in like 6 months. When the reality is on the back end, nobody knows what happened. They had 50K in chargebacks. They spent 30K on ads. They had a sales team that got 20% commission. They had the client success that were like 10K a month. Like they literally made nothing from that 100K. So in terms of, and that was a little bit of a side tangent from who you need to become to get to 100K. For me, what it looks like to be deserving of 100K is you need to become a 7-figure human being, right? For me personally, I've always had a very obsessive personality, and that's a pro, but it's also a con as well when you're going down the bad route with like, if I was ever consuming alcohol, eating bad food, it was never a one-off thing. It was like every single day or every single weekend, right? So I would say the biggest lever that I've pulled is just cutting out all of my vices, because now working on the business is actually enjoyable. Like I wake up in the morning, I don't even want to sleep because I'm so excited to just push the vision forward, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Will said, what was your first 6 months like? What did you do? What worked and what didn't work?
What worked and what, again, this is very market specific. So what worked? To get my first 10 clients, free trials, commission, from that point, I was originally just in the UK market, working with UK clinics, and then I transitioned to the US. And then I started running paid ads. I can tell you the biggest lever that I pulled to scale to 10. Like the thing is, I got to like 5, 6, 7K a month. And then I went from like 5K to like 30K in like a month. Because when you have that cash flow to invest into ads, it's like if you give me $1 and I give you $5 back, you'd give me all of the money. That is literally what you can do with ads. If I was to go back in time, I'll tell you this now, I would save up money, maybe, and this isn't something that I did, but I probably would reconsider it now. I would probably get a high ticket sales job, or I would start selling on a commission basis, build up a war chest of 5 to 10K, and I'd go all in on ads. Because if you can learn the skill of paid ads, like you can literally print money.
Yeah.
And bottom line, you can. It's like one of the highest leverage things you can do. But I understand that not a lot of people can do that right out of the gate, which is why I'm saying, of course, learn service delivery, get some clients on commission, build up a war chest or like a nest egg, and then just invest in ads.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, no, that's good advice. And then for like getting to 5K per month with the calls, because I'm sure a lot of people in here would want some help on this. What made you actually do the calls? Like, was there something you're doing this for? Like, is it your family? Is it like, because I think if you're relying on yourself to wake up and do cold calls, it's quite hard to do that because most of the people listening and watching this have a roof over their head, they have food. So what was it that actually made you do those calls? And yeah, I think that's a pretty solid question.
I think everybody has their own underlying desires and motivations, whether they're driven by pain, whether they're driven by wanting to provide for their family. for me personally, I grew up without a father, right? Single mother, not, I haven't had a bad childhood whatsoever, but my family's always struggled with money. And I think a solid lever that you could pull when you start, not even when you start, but throughout the majority of the journey, even to get to 10, 20, 100K, I'm still driven by it in a sense now. Like the pain of what fuels you, like use it, you know? I understand where people say they want to solve it. They don't want to be fueled by their pain, but it's like the biggest driver for me personally. And I know it is for a lot of people as well. I think a lot of people have, like probably majority of people on this call here, like it's not normal for you to be on a Sunday working towards the future you. That's not fucking normal, right? So I'm almost certain that majority of the people here, whether they know it on a conscious level or not, have something driving, probably from a point of pain a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Whether it was childhood trauma, whether it's them getting bullied as a kid, whatever it is, like there is something that's telling you, I need to be better than the average individual. And just come to terms with it. Like that's what I did. And it's been the best thing that I've ever done. Be like, okay, I know this drives me. It's probably not healthy long-term, but short-term, I can just use this as fuel on the fire to keep going. And it's going to allow me to do more than the average person.
Yeah. Nah, that's a good one. It's like using dark energy. I think I can't remember who talked about it, but it's definitely good short term. Maybe not like maybe after like 5 years or so, maybe not, but
No.
it's good for a few years.
Yeah.
Ruben said so. I think Ruben's working with car detailers, if I remember correctly, and he said, "What are your current methods of scaling and getting new clients?" So a pretty simple question.
Paid ads, referrals, partnerships. So we'll go into each one. Paid ads, super self-explanatory. You put $1 in, you get $5 out. Like the same principles apply when you spend $50 a day on ads to when you spend, I think at the moment we're spending around $400 to $500 a day on ads. The same principles apply, it's just on a bigger scale, right? Referrals, we have a pretty dialed in referral system internally. So if you have clients, you're getting them results. Huge lever you can pull is asking them to bring you more clients. You can get them more results and they can get paid and you can get paid. We just frame it as like a win-win-win situation, right? It's a no-brainer. So we just say, look, if you bring us somebody else and we end up working with them, we'll pay you $500. They get good results because they work with us and we get paid. So everybody's happy. And then number 3 is referral partnerships. Now, this is one that it's going to be difficult to get straight away, but as you scale, you're going to start to open up the doors to franchise opportunities if you're in, for example, gyms or fitness coaches or whatever it is. Maybe you end up working with a fitness coach that's an influencer that has an online platform that they can promote your services, right? You just want to make sure that incentives are aligned. So maybe you give them a commission for every client that you bring them. You serve them well. And again, this just boils down to having a good product. You have a good product, word of mouth and referrals is going to do the majority of the marketing, but as well, like outbound and inbound is a huge lever that you can pull as well.
Yeah, that's a good one. Product's probably the most I think Naval said like the reason you're doing sales is because you failed at marketing, and you're doing marketing because you failed at product. Like if you can do product,
it's like so true.
If you can get one client to refer you a client each time, you'll never have to do marketing or paid ads ever again for yourself. But I think it's just getting clients to be able to ask them for feedback and just I think most people just can't sign enough clients because like the only way you get better is by actually doing it, which is,
and it's painful too. Like I know the feeling, and because I speak to a lot of people that experience it as well, where it's like there's this anxious feeling where it's like, if I sign more clients, I'll feel like I'm doing them a disservice because I don't know what I'm doing. And that's okay. And you know what? This is why I think it's not cut out for everyone. You've just got to have that conversation with yourself as in like, look, am I willing to go through the short-term pain now where you are going to have to sign clients, whether you like it or not? If you want to build an agency and you want to have, if your goal is time and financial freedom, you're going to have to go through the pain now. Because I'm telling you, you in 3 months' time is going to thank you now.
Yeah.
Just be okay with the fact that some clients are going to be angry. You can't please everybody. if I could tell you the amount of clients, and this isn't necessarily a good thing, but I'm just saying it as a point of like, I wouldn't change it for the world because it's allowed me to build a thicker skin, which is so important in entrepreneurship. And number two, learn the gaps in our products and where I can improve as an individual as well. The amount of times I've been on calls with clients, like I've literally had calls where clients are bawling their eyes out on the phones, screaming at me, lawsuit letters. These things happen. Just prepare for the worst. You just got to push through it, you know? It's short term.
Yeah. And that's what they don't tell you on YouTube.
No, they don't.
Thank God as well, because yeah, it's scary stuff.
Yeah, if I knew it, I wouldn't have started, but
yeah,
it's one of those things where it's like everybody on this call is on here for a reason, right? You've invested money into your own growth for a reason. You've already made that conscious decision that you now is not who you want to be. Or you know that you can do more than you are now. Right? So then you've just got to be okay with the fact that, look, maybe the next year or so is it's gonna be tough. There's gonna be shit that happens that you're not going to expect. And that's okay. Like, don't feel like you need to know every single step of that because you're never gonna. It's like being in a maze with a blindfold and you have no idea where you go. But sooner or later, if you keep taking steps in different directions and pushing forward, you're gonna figure it out.
Stuff. But yeah, let's dive into just like your diet. I think I'm interested to hear. I know a lot of people are maybe interested in this, maybe not, but yeah, I'm a big believer in like fasting just for mental clarity and just doing things that can give you slight edge. Yeah, I don't know if you just want to take it away in terms of what your daily routine maybe looks like, because I believe if like obviously what you do today is what you become, like cause and effect. But yeah, I'm just interested.
100%. I mean, I'll show everybody what my calendar looks like as well, just so you can. I mean, you can get an understanding. So, at the moment, I am in the UK. Well, I'm in Spain at the moment. I service American and Canadian-based clients, right? What a lot of people confuse, and this is why they stay stagnant, is they confuse admin and maintenance for things that are going to grow the business, right? So look at this. I'll show you an example. I wake up about 7. This is a little bit off. I'll do deep work until about 1:30. Okay. 12:30 to 1:30. I won't eat a thing. I'll just have black coffee and water. Ultimate mental clarity. I cannot believe I used to eat cereal. I cannot believe I used to eat toast. I cannot believe it. I swear to you, you feel like a superhuman when you do this. It'll be a little bit tough for the first few weeks. But I can tell you, I wake up now, I'm not hungry until about 2, and I'm laser focused on the task at hand. And you only realize it when you do it. It's something that if I told you it, you'd be like, I don't see how this can help. But I'm telling you, when you do it and when you get consistent with it, your deep work will get than anybody else who eats first thing in the morning. Personally, for me, that's possible. Okay. Now, again, as I was saying, I start calls at 3 p.m. because 3 p.m. for me is 9 a.m. US. So everything before 3 is what's going to grow the business. I know 3 till around 11 p.m. That's just maintenance. That's admin. That's sales calls. I guess you could argue it kind of grows the business, but client success, admin with the team, moving like planning projects. I see that as maintenance. It's those big, deep work blocks where you're pushing the big projects forward that are actually going to move the money. Okay. And then in terms of what else I eat, so around 2 p.m. I'll have my first meal. I'll break my fast. This is a little bit off at the moment. I'm just eating chicken, eggs, avocado. I don't eat any carbs until around 7 p.m. Maybe I'll have an apple in the day or something along those lines. And then for dinner, I'll just have some rice and some beef, something like that. Right. So that is literally what my calendar looks like. This is what I've found work well for me. I've fell into the trap of eating carbs too early. I've tested eating no carb, but eating in the morning. This is personally what I find works really well for me because that deep work block in the morning, I don't need to think about anything else about what do I need to push for? What are the big rocks that are going to accelerate my growth? And then throughout the day, I'll have 2 meals, nothing too crazy. And then on the weekend, I'll treat myself. I'll go out for dinner. Does that kind of make sense? Anybody got any questions on? You're on mute.
I was on mute. I was saying it's pretty self-explanatory. I think most people will understand
Pretty
that.
cut and dry, right? But this has
Yeah.
been a game changer because I fell into vices where it's like, oh, you know, I'd be drinking a lot of energy drinks in the day. I had a really bad addiction to Pepsi Max. I would have like 4 of those a day. And you don't realize it, but it's even those little things that once you cut those vices, like you have ultimate mental clarity. And that is where a lot of the growth comes from.
No, I agree. Carbs slow me down massively, but yeah, and just not taking meetings in the morning, I'd recommend for everyone. Because for me, I'm not massively extroverted, I'm more introverted. So if I mean, I can speak on camera, it's just around people like IRL, like in person. But like just taking like 5 meetings, if I had to do that in the morning, my brain would not work in the afternoon. So yeah, I know Steve Jobs, a lot of people didn't take meetings in the morning. Yeah, it's probably the best thing you can do. Jarrell said, what would you do about getting your first client if you had a full-time job, about 50 hours per week? I plan to reach out to home builders in Australia, UK, and New Zealand so I can take calls before and after work. And he lives in Canada.
Okay. So Alex Hormozi talks so much about this, but you work 50 hours a week. So there's those hours that you don't work. Maybe you work 9 to 5 Monday to Saturday, right? So 6 to 9 a.m., 5 to 9 p.m., weekends, Sunday, that's your time to work on the future, right? Present you, funding your current life is, for now, temporarily, those 50 hours are trapped with, right? But it's the hours between that's what's going to move the money needed. Again, it's one of those things where it's like you've got to make the best of a bad situation. Everybody's got to start somewhere. But once you have enough leverage to the point where it's like, okay, maybe now you can only afford to invest 15 to 25 hours a week into the business, right? But then you get to a point where it's like, okay, my income is starting to balance out here. Maybe I make like 3K a month here. I'm making like 2K a month here. It probably makes sense for you to start bringing your hours working down in this position or just completely throwing it out and living below your standard of means with this vehicle that you're just starting to build. Because if you took that 15 to 25 hours from that point and started investing like 70 to 80 hours, you're very quickly going to be able to grow the amount of money that you make there. So Jarrell, that's the only thing that you can really do.
Yeah, that's solid. I think it's hard for people with jobs. I was lucky enough to just like leave school, not go to university like a year and a half, 2 years ago, and just go like all in. Because I think if you've been working a 9 to 5 for like 5 years, 10 years, I can see how that can be quite hard.
Harder, for sure.
It is. I feel like you have to get on it quick if you're going to go about it. But that's just some advice to like maybe if some 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds in here. But yeah, I think that's solid. Yeah, what are your thoughts on goal setting, says Will. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I think goals are great. I mean, we are by definition goal-striving creatures, right? Think about the people that didn't evolve, didn't adapt. Whether you are religious, whether you're not. Personally, I believe in evolution. So if you see it from a standpoint of the people that didn't evolve, that didn't innovate, that didn't grow, would literally die out. With every other species, that applies as well. Humans are wired to move towards a goal. So when you set a North Star, and because I personally read my vision every single day, I've got absolute clarity on exactly who I want to become, what my business looks like, what my day looks like, who I'm going to be with, everything, right? Because I know that if I continuously remind myself where I need to go, things are going to get put in place. And as well, it just allows you to break things down on a micro scale. Like if you know, okay, I want to make 10K, then you can start to reverse engineer the action that's going to get you to 100K or 10K, sorry. Like maybe 10K a month is like, okay, 10K a month means, and you reverse engineer it to the point where it means X amount of cold calls a day. Me being in the best condition that I want to be in means me eating this every day or following this meal plan every day. Then on a micro scale, you can look at that goal and you can go, okay, this is exactly what I need to do today, right now, on a long period of time, on a macro scale, is going to contribute towards me getting towards said goal.